For today's video, I think we need to get a little metal. No. Alright, listen. I love 2D6 as much as the next guy, and you should too, and check out their stuff at 2d6music.bandcamp.com. However, for this one, I think we need something a little bit more hardcore, something that fits the tone a little bit more. Guess I gotta go dust off my old CDs from my high school years. So today's episode, we're going to be looking at a very unique game from the mind of Rich Stokes and Lord of the Pies Games, I guess? I'm not sure. Under DriveThruRPG, this is listed as Lord of the Pies, and it's the only game under the name. So I'm just going to say that it's Lord of the Pies Games. But it is a very unique game, one that I don't think I've really seen before, and that game is Umlaut, the game of metal. So what is Umlaut? Well, as the title suggests, this game is rather interesting in that it goes into the realm seldom seen in RPGs. I mean, sure, we've seen plenty of games for science fiction, fantasy, cyberpunk, steampunk, magical girls, and so forth, but not too many about being a band. Umlaut is a game about just the non-stop party, the cheap thrills, and living life on the fast lane of your typical metal bands from, like, the 80s and all the way to today. The essence of Umlaut is to be the true metal band experience. You have a set of statistics and traits that correspond to your band's experience. This includes hope, your ego, how popular you are, and how much money you actually have. It measures your skills as a musician, how powerful your band is, not only that, just your showmanship, and also just, well, how technically good you are at actually playing instruments. The goal of the game is to be the most badass band in all of the land. And the game that is about the most badass band in all the land has me confused. It's a confusion that I really can't wrap my head around. It doesn't feel right. I guess I should start this off by saying that I have said this before, I will say it again. Everything can be an RPG game, and I stand by this 100%. No matter what it is, you can make an RPG game out of it. But what I will say is this. There are some that are a harder sell than others, and this is certainly a harder sell. I do freely admit that maybe this is also just me. I don't know how many people out there really want to play an RPG about being in a metal band, but this one really isn't very grasping. This is something that, you know, unlike fantasy, you can't exactly pick up a sword and go running off and kill a dragon. You can't exactly live in a cyberpunk world. You can't exactly do a lot of the things that you do in RPGs. Forming a metal band is something that you can actually pretty well do. I mean, granted, you can't be at the level where you're driving on tour from city to city, but, I mean, you could certainly live the lifestyle 100%. You can still pick up instruments and play in a band, so I'm not saying that it's bad. What I'm saying is that it's a harder sell. This is something that you can do in real life, so you gotta wow me somewhere else. You can't just wow me on the, hey, let's be a metal band. You know, you gotta give me something else. You gotta give me some enthusiasm, which the book does. The book does have enthusiasm, but you also have to, like, you know, wow me at mechanics, at concepts, at just, you know, the book itself has to really be tight if you're going to have a premise such as this, and I do not think that Umlaut really covers that. Umlaut does not have a universe to build, so the game is all concept mechanics and execution. Already I have established that the concept doesn't really sell me, and I don't think it's going to sell too many other people as well. This might be a personal issue, but I really cannot think of too many of my friends, people that I've met in the community, people who habitually play RPGs that really want to play a role-playing game about being a metal band. There's there's no conflict, and there's very little story aside from living the life of being in a band. It's a very tough sell. The concept is really rough because there's very little conflict to tell a story. There's very little drive in the premise, and then the execution of the mechanics as well is somewhat lacking. So The game is unique, and certainly the creators have tons of enthusiasm with it, but I think it's just a little bit too unique. And there's no way to cover up the problems with enthusiasm alone. Even from the mechanics, from the start, the game lays out quick that this is very different from your typical RPG that may make things even feel a little more weird if it didn't already feel weird before. First and foremost is you don't have a storyteller, you don't have a game master, you don't have a DM, whatever you want to call it. They're not in this game. Overall, the game doesn't have a game master, and you do not play individual characters. You all are working together cooperatively to detail the life of this band, and not so much in that you're playing characters in the band. You are just kind of this quasi-entity managing what the band as a collective unit does. The game is also diceless. It uses deck of cards instead of dice, which I actually do enjoy me some diceless RPGs, and I like the idea of incorporating the deck into things, but whenever you're stripping away some of the basic foundations of an RPG, dice, individual characters, game master, things get a little too unique, to the point where things start to get a little weird. The game is a narration and scene style where you build a scene together as a group to what is going on, with the cards determining order as well as action. Overall, you do not so much care about the individuals in the band or rolling any dice, obviously. It is very much cooperative storytelling that builds a story around the life of these metal band members. I can certainly praise the game for uniqueness, for trying out some new stuff, and at least also a mechanic system that's pretty well thought out. But whenever you take away characters, whenever you take away the storyteller, whenever you take away the dice, whenever you take away a lot of different aspects and you just insert in a narration scene style sort of story, things start to stray away from a role-playing game and stray into the realm of like children's make-believe. The biggest problem that I have with Umlaut is that it doesn't feel like a game. It doesn't feel like any sort of game to play. It feels like make-believe. It feels like pretend. It feels like a group of kids pretending to be in a band, only with a few extra steps added in. Usually with role-playing games, there is a gameplay sort of aspect to it, but this game removes the veil in a way that is not exactly flattering. Overall, what I'd like to say is this, is that I can at least applaud the creators of this game for making what's clearly a passion project and doing it very well. It was followed very precisely. However, this game is still going to get a miss. Overall, Umlaut is just... I cannot see it being enjoyed by a wide fan base. I can see this may be enjoyed by the creators, by people who are really into bands, into metal, and really into role-playing games, giving this like a one-and-done sort of try after a couple of drinks. Kind of an interesting party game, but as far as just a game that's going to be really enjoyed by the masses, nah, definitely not. This game definitely gets a miss. Thank you all so much for watching. Please like and subscribe for more. Please become my patron on Patreon at patreon.com/TannerBivens. And please come back next week for another episode of Crit or Miss, as well as a new series called Double Feature.